We're going to be talking about the next steps following along this weekend's No Kings protest. But I just want to, before we get started, Renee says I'm looking hot today. Well, Renee, it's interesting you say that. Can I complain for a second before we get into it? Can I complain? Can I show you guys? So apparently today, can I let you guys in on the stuff that I have to deal with covering the left on the internet? And it always comes from the right. It never comes from the left. I don't get grief from the left. I only get grief from the right. And so I'm online today and I'm just like doing my thing, and I'm trying to cover like Antifa stuff and break down some of this propaganda that I get over the weekend. And all of a sudden, people start sending me, because anytime someone talks about me online, like, people send it to me. All of a sudden, people start sending me stuff like, hang on, this, where you guys know this guy. This guy, his name is Chris Burnett. Ooh, that's actually really big. That's actually really big. That's unuseful. That's not useful. This guy's name is Chris Burnett. And Chris Burnett basically got fired from the Manhattan Institute, and now he's just like, he's fallen down like the internet rabbit hole, and now he does nothing and he pretends to be a journalist still. But like, he posted this picture on me today. Like, they're doing commentary on my weight on the internet. And of course, they always take screenshots where they look for exactly the right screenshot, so I look exactly how they want me to look. And they're like, the only reason she grew out her hair is to hide her weight and to give the impression that she's wearing a hijab. I just want to know, guys, is my coverage of the left better if I wear my hair like this? Or maybe you know what I need to do? Maybe I need to do my hair like this. Do I need to pull it up? Do we need to do that? Is that what people like? Is my coverage of the left better depending on how I wear my hair on any given day? Does my weight factor into the analysis that I do on the far left? This is literally the shit I have to deal with. This is literally the shit I have to deal with. So, and I grew my hair out because I got tired of getting it cut. That's the big secret. So that's going on today. Yeah, Tolkien fan, I said I saw that. That guy's unhinged. He is unhinged. Evelina says when they can't attack the truth, they attack the person. Oh, yo, I get attacked all the time from the right like this. And I'm like, sir, I cover socialism on the internet, sir. And they always like to tell me too, they're like, you're catfishing on the internet. I'm like, hey, look at my based catfish setup. My jerry-rigged webcam that's like on my monitor. This is my based catfishing setup. Guys, I'm on video all the time. If people want to know what I look like, they can find what I look like. And if what I look like impacts the way you perceive my analysis of the left, then guess I'm not the right teacher for you, and that's fine. But we're not here to talk about how the conservatives are complaining again about my weight on the internet. We're here to talk about the No Kings protest. So I want to show you guys something. So this is, I've got to come up with a better system for doing this. Showing you guys stuff on live streams. We'll figure it out. Substack only allows live streaming on the phone app, so I'm doing the best I can. But I want to show you guys what's next after this weekend's No Kings protest, because this weekend was the largest single-day protest in American history. Do not believe any conservative media that tells you that this was a small protest or this was a failure. None of that is true at all. This was the largest single-day protest in American history. It was even larger than the Pink Pussy Hat March during Trump's inauguration. And so this was a big deal. And we went to the No Kings debrief yesterday, and they were actually very clear on this debrief. What they're talking about doing, actually, let me come back over here. What they're talking about doing is the goal of the far left right now is to get people to come to more than one activist event. That's it. So people are saying, like I had someone in my chat yesterday saying, well, Karlyn, what did this weekend really accomplish? Well, I'll tell you what it accomplished. It accomplished getting normal people into the activist pipeline. How they do that is they get people to show up for a protest. And then once people show up for a protest, they get them into an organizing call for the next protest. Maybe they get them to organize an event at their house. Maybe they get them to attend an online training. Once they attend the protest, the next goal is to get them to the next event, and then to get them to another event, and then to get them to another event, and then to get them to another event after that. That was the goal of the protests. That has been the goal of these protests for months. Because remember, these protests have been going on since Trump got inaugurated. This is not something that just popped up out of nowhere. They have come from somewhere. They have been going on since Trump was inaugurated. And they started relatively small, but then they kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And there is no reason to think that they're going to stop getting bigger now. So that is the goal of these things. And so what we went to the No Kings debrief yesterday where they laid out some of their plans, and what they said loud and clear is their primary goal right now is to get 3.5 to 5% of the population to be doing sustained activism consistently over multiple events. So their premise is that if they are able to get 3.5 to 5% of the population to come out to their protests consistently, then they can overthrow and control the system. That is their premise. Now, whether or not you agree with their premise is another story. And, I think there is a lot of validity to it. I mean, if you look back over the course of history, it doesn't actually take that large a percentage of the population to accomplish a large-scale change if that percent of the population is highly, highly, highly active, and the rest of the population is sitting on their asses talking about how they're part of the silent majority and waiting for Trump to save them. So we're talking about a leftist base, and these are more progressives. These are not far leftists. We are talking about a leftist base that has a concerted effort right now to get a significant amount of people to come to multiple protest events because they're trying to integrate millions and millions and millions of people into the protesting ecosystem. This is the goal. Get someone to come to a protest, then get some, or even before the protest, get someone to come to an online event, get someone to come to a training, get someone to come to a webinar, get someone to come to a speech that a politician gave, then get them to go to a protest, and then get them to go to another organizing meeting, and then get them to go to another webinar, and then get them to go to another protest, and get them to participate in some sort of initiative they're doing where they all take their pictures with a certain selfie style and they put it online on the same day, and they use a certain hashtag or they tweet about certain things on Twitter. It's just to get people involved and to have them taking action over and over and over and over and over again within the activist ecosystem. And what they're trying to do is get at least 3.5% of the population actively involved in activism because they believe they can completely control the Trump agenda and quite frankly, possibly overthrow the system if they have at least 3.5% of the population active on a daily, on an ongoing basis. Maybe not daily, but on an ongoing basis. They're coming back to events. They're going to multiple protests. They're organizing meetings. They're doing all this stuff. The No Kings protest on Saturday already got them halfway to that goal. So I want people to think about this. We're talking about a population that has been active since January that is already halfway to the goal that they have. So how are they going to get people involved? Well, guess what? Already up on their website, they have, and you can find this, you can go to nokings.com. I'm getting a spam message right now. You can go to nokings.com/next, and you can see all of this stuff. So what the No Kings people have done is they've put together a series of events. Oh my God, why am I getting notifications? They're putting together a series of events to get people involved. So they've got the Disappeared in America protest. You can get involved in that. You can get involved by phone banking. You can get involved by contacting members of Congress. Their next big protest is going to be on July 17th. Their next big protest, you can find it at Good Trouble Lives On, and you can find all the ways to get involved there. And guess what? On Good Trouble Lives On, they have a series of trainings. You can attend training calls to get involved with Good Trouble Lives On, and that's another way you can get involved. They're going to be training, they're trying to train 1 million people to learn how to lead within their activist movement. That's another training that people can get involved with. They're trying to get people involved in state level affiliates. This is the ACLU, they're partnering with them on another series of trainings. This is 5051. This is the group that has been organizing the protests since the very beginning. They're doing trainings that people can get involved with there. Find people in your local groups. Look at all these different ways. And guys, this is a drop in the bucket. Look at all the different ways that they have for people to get involved. That's the goal. Get them into the pipeline. Get them to come out to events. Get them to work it into their schedule where they start to plan their schedule around these different types of activist events. Build a social ecosystem around protests. Build a socialist, or not socialist in this case, more progressive, but build a social ecosystem around activism. Make this a community activity. Make it a group activity. The more you get involved in these things, the more friends you make in these things, the more you want to keep coming to meetings because then you get to hang out with your friends. The goal is to activate 3.5 to 5% of the population. That is what they're trying to accomplish. Nothing else matters except for that. So, by that standard alone, the No Kings protest was phenomenally successful over the weekend. It was phenomenally successful. Largest single-day protest in American history. Over 5 million people protested on Saturday. And they not only protested in red areas, in blue areas, they protested in red areas too. And I'll tell you this, in the debrief call yesterday, they were very, very convinced that they could get people to come out in red areas. Why were they convinced they could get people to come out in red areas? Because they already did it. There were massive numbers in red areas, guys. You know, some people might think if you get 1,000 people out to a protest on a Saturday afternoon, that's not that big of a number. When you think back to like these massive crowds and the images that we've seen on TV, you might think like 1,000 people just isn't that many. It is extremely difficult to get 1,000 people to come out and protest Donald Trump in a red state. And guess what? That happened over and over and over and over and over again. And I'll tell you what, conservatives can't even get 1,000 people to come out to a Trump rally unless Trump is there. Have you guys ever been to one of those things where people are holding signs on the road in favor of Trump? Have you ever been to a boat parade? I've been to a Trump boat parade. They're really fun, by the way. Have you ever been to one of those things where they get people to line up in their trucks with all their Trump flags? I've been to one of those too. A Trump event that Trump is not at. Because Trump can always get people to come out to a Trump rally, right? Can you get 1,000 people to come out to a Trump-related event where Trump is not there? I've been to some really big Trump-related events when Trump wasn't there. There weren't 1,000 people there. And I'm talking about in areas. I went to a boat parade in Florida back in 2020. There were not 1,000. And so Florida in 2020, before leading up to that election, you would think of all places, could there get 1,000 people out to that boat parade? Nope. Could they get 1,000 people out to the truck thing that they did after that? Nope. And I've seen this over and over and over again. You go to conservative events and they don't even go to the sessions to learn. They only go to the networking events. You can't get 1,000 conservatives to come to a conservative conference to talk about strategy in Florida. By the way, again, in Florida, I went to a conservative conference in Florida in, what was it, the end of 2021? Where it was at the Trump Doral Hotel. It was a conservative conference that had all these sessions about understanding things and planning and activism, things like that. No one went to the sessions. They just hung around for the networking events at the end of the day, and that was it. So the right cannot do the things that the left is currently doing. They cannot. There is no competition. And so they can poo-poo this stuff all they want, but the left is focused. They're organized. They have so many events coming up just related to this. Here's the other thing too. All the things I just showed you are one group of people within the leftist ecosystem. One. The No Kings people are not the full breadth of the leftist ecosystem. And yet, just within the No Kings kind of sphere, there are dozens of events already scheduled for the next month to give people opportunities to get involved. And that's 3 days after the protests are over. There's only going to be more and more and more and more and more and more. So that's what's going on. No matter what metric you personally ascribe to whether or not the No Kings protests were successful, the left has goals and they have metrics, and they're organizing specifically to reach those goals. And their goal is to activate at least 3.5% of the population to get them to come out to their events consistently over and over and over again. They are building an army. That's what's going on. You don't believe me? Go over to nokings.com/next and you'll see it, and you'll be able to see all the different trainings you can sign up for. I registered for all of them last night because that's what I do. I sit here and I listen to the left, even when it's boring and even when it sucks. So we're going to keep monitoring the situation. Of course, we are not going to pretend like so many influencers that this wasn't a big deal. It was a big deal. The largest single-day protest in American history is a big deal. And by the way, Trump's military parade completely backfired. Can we just talk about that for a second? The only reason the No Kings Day protest happened on Saturday was because of Trump's military parade. Now, if Trump's military parade had been awesome, then maybe it would be a different story. But not only was the military parade not awesome, no offense to men and women in uniform. This is no shade on veterans or active duty service people, okay? It's really not. But that military parade sucked. It sucked. I watched a little bit of it, and it was depressing. You see military parades out of places like China or North Korea or really anywhere else. Even the UK. The UK had Trooping the Colors the other day. The Trooping the Colors in the UK was more impressive than the $100 million military parade that Trump put on in DC, okay? And it's just like, so we had this military parade that kind of sucked, that wasn't a show of American strength at all in any way. It was not a show of precision. It was not a show of unity. It was sad and depressing. It was like a wilted flower. And then you have the left completely taking advantage of and capitalizing on this parade to organize the largest single-day protest in American history, because the reason that they called it the No Kings protest and the reason they generated so much buzz about it was because it was on the same day as this flipping military parade. So the moral of the story is this. If the Trump administration is going to do stuff like this, fine. I'm not saying he shouldn't have had a military parade, but it should have been a fucking kick-ass military parade. The parade should have been so much better. It should have been the greatest, most intimidating military parade of all time. Because as it was just kind of like this lackluster thing that happened where it just was kind of sad to watch. And then you had the left turning out these massive protests in response to this military parade, which wasn't even that great anyway. So if Trump is going to do something, they've got to stop half-assing this stuff. And they actually have to do it right. Because the left is focused, the left is organized. And by the way, every single time people dismiss the left, it's like, well, what are you dismissing? Because they're far more organized than you. They're far more motivated than you. They're far more active than you. And you guys can't even plan a military parade. Someone in the chat says this military parade has been planned since 2023. That is fucking pathetic. That's pathetic. You've been planning that parade for 2 years? That's pathetic. I'm sorry. Ben says, I felt that we as America First people are totally screwed for a while now because Trump is unavailable for duty after his term is over. Bro, Trump isn't doing anything now. Why are you even looking ahead to 2028? Trump isn't doing anything now except for getting us into a war with Iran. Trump isn't doing anything right now. The military parade was a fucking dud, yes. I could feel it in the small crowd despite my complete blindness. Yeah, see, that's the other thing. It's like no one even turned out for the military parade. Even Trump supporters didn't go to the military parade. So you have the left has the largest single day protest in American history. Trump and his dud of a military parade had no one show up. It was so sad. But my question to you, Karlyn, and others is what the fuck do we do? People are, okay, what you do is, and I say this all the time, what you do is you need to stop doing things and you need to learn about your enemy. You need to forget everything you think you know about the left because most of you know nothing. And you need to start learning who your enemy is and what they're doing. And if you are unwilling to do this, people try to trick me up in this all the time. They ask me, Karlyn, what do we do to defeat the left? And I say, you've got to learn as much as possible about the left. And then they say, no, Karlyn, what do we do about defeating the left? And then I say, you've got to learn as much as possible about the left. And then they say, no, Karlyn, really, what do we do about defeating the left? And I say, aren't you listening to me? You need to learn as much as possible about the enemy. Because right now, you do not understand the enemy. You may think you understand the enemy. I promise you, very few of you actually do. And the people who understand the enemy are the people who've been studying my content for years. So that is what you need to do. That is what everyone needs to do. I don't have any other solution, guys. I can't give you a tactic to do because if you don't understand the enemy, there is no tactic that you're going to implement effectively. If you don't understand the enemy you're fighting, I can say, go out, take over a school board. Okay, you go out and you take over a school board, which probably would be a lot harder than you think it is, by the way. But let's just say you're successful at taking over a school board. What then? You don't understand the enemy. You don't understand how the enemy operates. I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. You're going to start implementing policies that have nothing to do with how the left actually operates. This is why conservatives never banned critical race theory in schools. They lied up and down, CRT ban, CRT ban, CRT ban, CRT ban. Conservatives never understood how critical race theory was taught. They framed it in terms of discrimination against white people. Critical race theory is not discrimination against white people. It is Marxist. It is taught through equity. It's taught through ideas like systemic racism, institutional racism. It's not taught to hate. It's not about hating white people. It never was. But because conservatives didn't take the time to understand their enemy, they wrote the laws to be anti-discrimination laws, which means they wrote laws to protect white people from getting people to hate them, which has nothing to effing do with critical race theory. So even though they were in power, even though they had the abilities to pass laws, they did it completely wrong and it didn't work. So stop doing stuff like that. It's a giant waste of time. It's a giant waste of resources. It's a giant waste of money. Everyone needs to slow the fuck down and learn about the enemy. And if you are unwilling to sit down and watch a stream of mine because you say, well, your streams are too long, it takes too long, then there's nothing I can say to you that's going to be good enough. If you are unwilling to sit down and watch a stream of mine for a couple hours, if you are unwilling to watch the How to Speak Socialist course that's available on my Substack, just click the How to Speak Socialist link at the top of the page. If you are unwilling to do that, Karlyn, it's 4 hours long. I don't have 4 hours. Then you are not useful to me. You are not useful in fighting the left if you are not willing to learn about the enemy, because nothing you do will actually work. You can complain about the left. You can say, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? You can take over school boards. You can try to implement laws. But I promise you, nothing you do will actually work, because if you do not understand your enemy, you are going to implement it in completely the wrong way. So can we just all stop pretending now and just start learning about the left? That's my advice. If you want to defeat the left, come to my daily live streams. Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Socialism Saturday on Saturdays at 6 p.m. Take the How to Speak Socialist course. Start digging into the counter-revolutionary book club stuff that I've got. Learn as much as you can about the enemy. And if you are unwilling to do that, and you don't want to because it's too hard and it takes too long and it's boring and you don't want to listen to them, then nothing you do will be good enough. Go find someone else to teach you. Maybe there are people out there that are doing this better than I am. And if you find someone else out there doing it better than I am, tell me who they are. No one has ever been able to give me a name of someone doing it better than I am, by the way. So that's the solution. You guys are unwilling to do it. We're just going to have all sorts of problems, like all of the different events that the left has already got scheduled after the No Kings protest, like the next upcoming protest that they're going to have on July 17th. Look at all these events. These are all the events that are already scheduled for July 17th. They just announced this yesterday. What's going on? Provincetown, Dover, New Hampshire, where I live, Maine. Look at that. What do we got over here? What do we got going on in Texas? Let's see. Let's see what they've already got to. Oh, Florida. Look at all those events in Florida already planned. Look at all these events. This is just since yesterday, guys. All across the South, in Texas, all over California, of course. There we go. So I promise you, this is only going to get bigger. Jason said it was a parade for the 250th anniversary of the Army. I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care. Don't care what it was for. Jason says, start by reading the Communist Manifesto and Rules for Radicals. Hey, Jason, I appreciate that you're trying to be helpful, but if I want people to read the Communist Manifesto and Rules for Radicals, I will tell them to read the Communist Manifesto and Rules for Radicals. That is not where I'm telling people to start. I'm actually going to explicitly say, do not start my work by reading the Communist Manifesto and Rules for Radicals. That's not how we learn about the left. How we learn about the left is we look at what they're doing and saying in the real world today. The Communist Manifesto was written 200 years ago. And I wrote a 400-page book about the Communist Manifesto, bro. So don't tell me about the Communist Manifesto. I wrote a 400-page book about it, okay? It's called Debunking the Communist Manifesto. You can find it on Amazon. Rules for Radicals is a helpful book, but it is not going to tell you what the left is doing today in the real world. If you want to start learning about my content, Reagan just said in the chat, start with the 4-hour crash course, How to Speak Socialist. You can find it on my Substack. Hang on, I'll even show you. I can find my Substack. Hang on. Hang on. Okay. There's me on video on my Substack, not to be confused with me on video now. That's weird, though. That's kind of meta, isn't it? Okay, so this is the Decode the Left Substack. And is this my live video right now? Am I streaming myself? Holy shit, is this meta? I never knew it did that on the Substack. I didn't know it actually put... Anyway, okay, new discovery. Anyway, doesn't matter. I wonder how meta we can get. I wonder how many screens we can get. See, now I'm totally distracted by the meta nature of me streaming my own live stream. Okay, never mind. Go to the How to Speak Socialist section and go to the 4-hour on-demand crash course. Go watch this. This is better than Rules for Radicals. This is better than the Communist Manifesto. In this training, you will see dozens and dozens and dozens of clips from real far-left activists. This is the crash course. This is where you start. That's what we're talking about. Go do that. Then come to the streams, learn as much as you can. I have a massive archive of content on my Substack. I'm trying to figure out better ways to introduce people to the content, but it's just quite frankly a lot. It's a lot, and I'm very busy. So I do the best I can. If you guys want to support the work I'm doing, the very best place to do so is by signing up on the Substack for $8 a month, $80 a year. And I will keep doing these streams, and I will keep posting content over on the Substack to teach you as much about the left as I possibly can, because I really think that that is the only way that we are actually going to beat them. Oh God, I just clicked onto the homepage of my Substack where I'm currently live streaming while I'm live streaming on my phone. How weird. All right, guys, that's all I have. We are going to be streaming communism today at 5 p.m. I have been watching progressive content for like 2 weeks now. Is anyone else in my audience about ready to shoot themselves from watching progressive content? If you're new to me, you might not understand this. Progressive content, like the No King stuff, is so boring compared to actual communism and actual socialism. So tonight, for our live stream starting at 5 p.m. on YouTube, on X, on Rumble, we are going to be watching communism. We are going to be watching the real stuff. We're going to be watching the good stuff. We're going to do the Denver Communists. The Denver Communists are great for new people because the Denver Communists tend to actually speak in really plain spoken language. We might go back and watch some episodes of the Denver Communists that we've watched before, just because I think there's some stuff that new people might be interested in. And the Denver Communists are great. Like, you can actually understand them. They have interesting presentations and they're relatively short. So we're going to be able to watch a couple of them. But I need to watch communism. I'm bored. I want to see what the communists are saying. And I promise you, if you are new to my content, just come to the 5 p.m. stream. Just trust me. Come to the 5 p.m. stream and let me blow your mind. All right, guys, that's all I have for the live stream today. Make sure you download the Substack app on your phone, get notified when I go live for streams. This should get uploaded to the Decode the Left podcast as well afterwards. And so I appreciate people coming out, hanging out. If you have a comment, let me know in the chat or in the comments once it's already posted. And I will see you guys at 5 p.m. Take care, guys. We'll see you soon. Bye.